Here we go with the FCS tour for this morning. I am doing it first read once again. I just got it off the email from Chris, and I'm going to be just reading what he wrote, and we'll go through the teams together and learn a little bit about these teams. Apologize for being late this morning. It's been a very rough morning with the computer. The computer's been misbehaving all morning, but I think we finally got it back and going. So let's get to your first game. Tarlton is playing Austin Peay. Tarleton's a 3.5-point road favorite. Let's see what Chris got here. Tarleton enters the game 6-1, fresh off a bye, so that's pretty impressive over here. They're currently ranked number 8 in the FCS coaches poll. 2 weeks ago, we used Tarleton as on the FCS tour when they hosted Utah Tech. As you see here, they won 42-0. That's a good win. They shut down their offense in the second half, and the game actually ended 42-0. So it was 42-0 at the half. And they won 42-0, even though they sort of put the game away. That's good. That gives us some value. Preseason UAC Player of the Year, running back Kayvon Britton, only had 8 carries in that game as they rested him. So let's take a look. You can get individual player stats. It's a different computer I'm doing it on. I had problems with my computer, so it takes a little bit for these to pop up. But as you see, Britton here only had 8 carries for 135 yards, and they rested him. He's a guy that had 25, 26, 21, 28, 37 carries. That's good. We got a well-rested Kayvon Britton. I like that. Britton's got 1,156 yards on the season, 7.3. And Tarleton is plus 64 yards per game in UAC play. Now, much like we do on the FBS, you've got conference record, conference, non-conference, home and away, and also the last 4 weeks is very important. Now, Austin Peay lost their head coach, Scotty Walden, to UTEP, and he took 10 transfers with him. The Governors are 3-4. The 2 conference wins have come against West Georgia, who just moved up from D2, and that same Utah Tech team that Tarleton crushed. What'd they beat Utah Tech? Oh, they only beat them 13-7. Interesting. Austin Peay only beat Utah Tech 13-7. Okay, there you go. Austin Peay has only allowed 97 yards rushing in the last 4, but the first 3 games, look at a red up here. They gave up a ton of yards on the ground. The competition softened a little bit here, so they got better on the rush D, but now they're taking on a good rush offense. Look at the green over here. You got a really good rush offense. Look at the red over here. I like that matchup. Tarleton also beat Southern Utah 38-37 right here. And while Austin Peay lost to Southern Utah 28-17. Okay, so they beat them 38-37. They lost to them by 11. The line seems extremely low. The AGG does only have Tarleton by 5.3, but the computer says Tarleton by 10. Chris thinks that Tarleton's a far better team. Will continue the march to a playoff spot. Your first FCS play is to take Tarleton State over Austin Peay. He's got the final score 31-14. Tarleton's minus 3.5. It was minus 1.5, moved to 3.5. That does seem very cheap in this game. I like that play. Good play, Chris. Let's see what you got next. We got Missouri State against Northern Iowa. I don't know the home team. Missouri State, that figures it's at Northern Iowa. So let's click Northern Iowa up here. And then let's click Missouri State over here. We'll click back over here to FCS team pages. FCS information, team pages. And on the left, we are putting Missouri State. All right, let me get that on the page. There we go. I will slide this over a little bit here. Oh, I think I had them here. Oops, that's FCS. Let's go to FCS. Let's get Missouri State on the page. There we go. All right, so we got Missouri State against Northern Iowa. I could tell you, Chris has Missouri State minus 9.5 over Northern Iowa. Let's see why. He says Missouri State's on a roll, having won 5 straight games. Okay, I see that. 5 straight wins. Once again, it's easy with the green-red. You don't even have to look at the score of the game. You just say, okay, 5 straight wins. They have quality road wins versus UT Martin and Illinois State, and only lost to Montana by 5 and Ball State by 8. That's pretty good. Those are 2 really good teams, and they played them tough. Northern Iowa's been a pure play against team all year. Now, if you got... a quick note for you. If you got the FCS Magazine, let me just check one thing here. Window. We'll click on this one, see if that's it. No. If you go to the store, well, let's just go to the store. Well, window, there, and there. All right. All right, so if you go to the store, you can get the FCS Magazine. You just click on here to the store. It's just this computer's a little slow as well this morning. All right, so you can get the FCS magazine right here, 2 full pages on every one. Now, if you read our FCS magazine on Northern Iowa, Chris was not very high on them. Had them having a rough year, and look, it has been a rough year. This is a Northern Iowa team that's usually good. In fact, I asked Chris early in the year about them, and he said, nope, they're not the same team, and that has been the case. Look at this. They've lost 5 in a row. But if you do want to get the digital magazine, it's right here. And I'll show you real quick what a digital magazine has. There you go. 2 full pages on every FCS team, just like we have in the main magazine. 2 full pages, 5-year spread records, stats from last year. Here's your spread records for the last 5 years at your fingertips. Statistical leaders. There's your games for the year, what they've done statistically here, what they've done in the playoffs, complete write-up on each position. This is North Dakota State, as you see. But get that FCS magazine. There are still 6 full weeks of the season left. It's just $25. 2 full pages on every team. You'll learn a lot about every team. And if you want to have access to the tour, we did drop the price this week to $79, but I'm giving you guys even $10 more off. Type in expert wins, $69, $383 a week for the last 18 weeks of the season. And when you get that code, you could just come over here and click on Phil Steele Plus. You see it's $79, you'll get it for $69. All right, enough of the store. Let's get back to these last 3 games here. We got Missouri State against UNI. So we got a good Missouri State team against a poor UNI team. They've been outscored by 29.4 points per game in those. And if you want to see what they've done the last 4 weeks, they've been outscored by 29 points per game, minus 212 yards per game. Meanwhile, Missouri State plus 122 yards per game the last 4 weeks, winning by 18 points per game. The Northern Illinois Panthers are actually 0-7 ATS this year. And here's something else you can get with the FCS information. And no one else has these. This is the ATS logs are right here. You can get the game grades. It tells you North Dakota State's currently the number 1 team in game grades. All right. You can get, click on FCS information here, FCS. You can get pass efficiency defense, FCS standings, and here, the ATS logs. Look at this. You get ATS logs. Let's go look at Northern Iowa. As I said, this computer's a little slow on the gray stuff. It doesn't normally pop up on mine, but I'm on a different computer because the computer problems this morning. All right, so here, look at this. Now this gives you the scores of the game, but this refers to how the teams do against the spread. Look at that, 0-7 against the spread. You know what I say about streaks. When you plan a streak, you can win many times, and you lose only once. So Chris is going on that streak here. UNI's 2 wins are against non-scholarship schools, Valparaiso and St. Thomas. Missouri State QB Jacob Clark has a 16-4 ratio. I like that. And he's hitting 72% this year. He was a Minnesota transfer, PS 47. You would know that if you read the magazine. And was hurt after 4 games last year. So last year he was the starter, and then he got hurt. And then now he's back this year. So that's a big plus. And look at this, 73% with a 16-4 ratio. UNI is number 124 in our pass defense. I'm not going to take up your time. If you have Phil Steele Plus, go to the pass defense section. You'll see they're number 124. They're allowing 232 yards per game, 72% with a 14-3 ratio. Chris says we're going to ride the streak and go against Northern Iowa a second straight week. We're taking Missouri State minus 9.5 over Northern Iowa. All right, now we take a look at Dayton against Morehead State. So we're going to click there, and we are going to click here. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to say that Morehead State's the visitor. Let's try that. Put Morehead State on the left, and they are on the road. Good, and they're playing Dayton. Once again, I'm reading these for the first time. Have not gone through them, so you and I are both going through them at the same time. Let's go with this. Chris goes, we are reaching deep in the barrel with a Pioneer League game here. And we've got the same amount of information on Pioneer League. Magazine's got 2 full pages. You can come in here and look at Dayton. Even though they're in the Pioneer League, you can go all the way back to 2011. You can get individual stats since 2018. You can get the last 6 years logs on Dayton. Once again, this computer's a little slow. Shows me the gray, and then it finally gets to it. Might do that on your home computer. I don't know. But look at that. You've got the last 7 years logs. Plus, you got this year 8 years logs on Dayton. Nobody else gives you that. All right, so Dayton is 6-1, including a win over St. Francis, Pennsylvania. Now, the thing about St. Francis, they beat Kent State. So that's a good win there. The Flyers won last week at Butler, 21-14, and they had a 320 to 260 yard edge. Morehead State is 3-4, but two of those wins came against NAIA schools. We're talking about Central State and Kentucky Christian. We don't even cover them here on the website. And a few weeks ago, they lost to that same Butler team. I talked about Butler. They lost to Butler 40-6. Outgained 482 to 258. I love the red-green. Look at all the red over here, guys. Look at all the green over here. I mean, when you look at the team right off the bat, you could tell who's better, just looking at the red and green. Now, Drew Van Vliet, and once again, individual player stats updated all season, even for the FCS teams. Drew Van Vliet is hitting 66% with a 15-4 ratio. Mason Hackett has 630 yards rushing. Morehead State is pure red on offense. You see that. Look at all that red over here. They average just 236 yards per game, so they struggle moving the ball. And look at this. This is against opponent averages, 172 yards below opponent's averages. Last 4 weeks, 195 yards below opponent's averages. Now, Butler's number one in the FCS, allowing 222 yards per game and holding foes to 136 below their average. Why did we mention that? Or is he talking about Dayton? He's talking about Dayton. So he's got Butler written here, but it's Dayton. Here's Dayton, 136 yards per game. So if they're holding a team, guys, if they hold opponents to 136 yards below their season average, and they're averaging 236 yards, that means it's going to be like this Montana game where they gain 100 yards offense. I like that. Now, Dayton has big edges on offense, defense, and they're at home. And the last time here in 2022, let's see what happened. Dayton is, who are we playing here? We're playing Morehead State. We beat them 49-27, so I like that. And it was -14. Now, Chris says he doesn't often put out Pioneer League games, but this looks like a solid play. Take Dayton minus the 22.5. I like that play. Nice play, Chris. Now let's go to the next one. Campbell against North Carolina AT&T. All right. Let's get back to these FCS team pages here. And we're going to I'm going to try Campbell as the home team. Yes, they are. Good. And then we're going to put North Carolina A&T on the left. North Carolina A&T. Once again, it's a little choppy this morning, guys. Had some computer problems. North Carolina A&T is the Aggies, and Campbell is the Fighting Camels. I remember watching Campbell play during the COVID season. The Campbell was playing during the fall, played some FBS teams. Take a look at that real quick, because I remember seeing them on the field. They had this guy here, Haj Malik Williams. That's UNLV's quarterback right now. He was the quarterback for Campbell. And look, they played Georgia Southern. I watched that game. Coastal Carolina, I watched that game. App State, I watched that game. Wake Forest, I watched that game. They were all on TV. I watched them all. Williams was the quarterback here. Was Williams there last year? Williams was the quarterback here, and now he's on UNLV. So you got all this information for you. But Campbell's just 2-5. Okay, that's not a great team. Chris, why are we taking a -9.5? Well, Chris can explain it to you. They're 2-5, but their 5 losses have come against teams that have winning records. Liberty, pretty good. Rhode Island, Stony Brook, NC Central, and William & Mary. He says that they only lost by 7 to Stony Brook, and William & Mary by 12. And Stony Brook's 5-2, William & Mary's 5-2, Rhode Island's 6-1. Okay, they lost by Rhode Island by 12, by 7 to Stony Brook and William & Mary. So they've all been fairly close losses. They're playing better than their 2-5 record would indicate. Now he says A&T has been abysmal this season. Their only win was against Winston-Salem, a Division II team, and they beat them by 7 points. A&T has lost their last 5 by 27 points per game, and once again, they've lost their last 4 by 27 points per game. I love this last 4 weeks. They are minus 148 yards per game the last 4 weeks. And that includes last week to Hampton, which they lost 59-17. The Aggies' closest loss was a big game, was to Richmond, who had a big game against Delaware on deck. Now, Campbell is minus 29 yards per game and -3 versus CAA foes. So despite their 2-5 record, look at this, only -3 yards per game. I like that. While AT&T is minus 149 yards per game against conference foes. Campbell's at home with the edges on both offense and defense. And AGG says Campbell by 22.3. You see here, 72. They're 51.7. So adding a 2-point home edge, he's got him by 22.3. My computer has Campbell by 17. Campbell's been much more competitive in their losses and even upset a playoff contender in Western Carolina. And the line's 9.5. That surprises me as well. Nice job, Chris. Campbell, minus 9.5 over North Carolina A&T. Chris spends a good portion of his Friday pouring over these FCS games. I hope you benefit from it. I hope you benefit from using Phil Steele Plus for FCS and getting that FCS Magazine. So make sure you check him out. Once again, apologize for being a little late this morning. Major computer problems. Got it all fixed. Got your tour for you. Now let's bring home some winners, Chris. He's been doing well on the tour. And thanks for taking the Phil Steele Plus tour.